a great big joy machine. Louis, happy Tuesday, because today is Tuesday. I thought it was Wednesday a little while ago, but it's actually Tuesday tonight. In just a few moments, one of my favorite guests, possibly my favorite guest of all time, Neil deGrasse Tyson, will be out here in just a moment. But first, ladies and gentlemen, my first guest tonight served this country for 5 terms as a senator and as Secretary of State, led the successful negotiation of the Iran nuclear deal and the Paris Climate Agreement. Please welcome back to The Late Show, John Kerry. Watch, please. There you go. Okay, sir, let's get straight to the heat and the meat here. Over 10 years ago, you helped broker what was called the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, the JCPOA, or Iran nuclear deal, kind of colloquially. Our current president withdrew from that in 2018, and yesterday he posted that the deal his administration will make will be much better than anything you negotiated back then. Take us back to 2015. What was in that deal, and what do you think is something that would make it better?
Can't make it better. No, I'm joking.
Having it still exist would make it better than it is right now, I admit.
That would be better.
Yeah.
Well, we negotiated an end to the possibility that Iran was going to build a nuclear weapon without our knowing it. Mm-hmm. Nobody could guarantee that they wouldn't try to cheat. In fact, we anticipated it. So we got 130 additional inspectors on the ground in Iran. We measured every ounce of uranium that they mined and then milled and then built into the nuclear production system and then into waste. Literally, we followed the entire track. We destroyed tens of thousands of their centrifuges. They agreed to destroy them. We sat there and watched them do it. We took uranium out of the country with the help of China, Russia, France, Germany, Britain, the EU. All of them agreed that this was the best deal that you could get because as a member of the NPT, the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, they had a right to enrich. And they weren't willing to give it up, just as I think they're fighting for that right now. So that's the basic tension here.
Okay, I get the basic idea of what the checks were that you guys had negotiated there. Donald Trump originally said this deal had to be done by midnight tonight. And then he said, okay, till 6 o'clock or the evening tomorrow. And now he sort of let it open, and we'll get into that in a moment, this indefinite expansion, the extension of the ceasefire. I'm just curious, how long did it take y'all to negotiate that deal?
I began the negotiations when I was chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee with President Obama and Secretary Clinton as Secretary of State. That's about 4 years of effort, 2 years as chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee and then 2 years plus as Secretary of State. And I think, Stephen, that...
So what I'm getting is that by 6 o'clock tomorrow might be rushing it.
To put it lightly. I mean, look, the fact is that diplomacy is not that really complicated. It's personal relationships, more or less, and most importantly. And you have to put yourself into the shoes of the people you're negotiating with. You've got to understand their history, where they're coming from. And so, you know, I've never been asked, but my advice to the administration is, you know, take time to set up your agenda. Take time to be reasonable in ways that will not encourage them to say, oh, you just took a ship over. And we, on the other hand, said we're going to open the Straits of Hormuz, which, by the way, have never been shut in any conflict that we've had or difference we've had with Iran. So today, Donald Trump, by ripping up the agreement and pulling out, has actually put us in a worse place than we were previously, because the one thing we feared by pulling it out is no agreement, war is probably almost inevitable. And literally, they have made it inevitable by giving Iran no freedom to move in a different direction.
And also by bombing them. That would be one of the ways you make one of the wars inevitable.
Yeah.
Now, President Trump said today that he would extend the ceasefire until Iran submits a unified proposal and discussions are concluded. He also said he'd continue the blockade in the Strait of Hormuz, which is an act of war. Are those the best ways to negotiate? In other words, if you start, as I said before, if you start with an act of war, is that the best way to start a peace talk?
No, obviously not. No.
Though technically, if you aren't at war, there's no need for a peace talk. So he's got a point there.
I know, well, but...
Would you like to apologize to him?
Certainly, well... No, I think what he's doing now is challenging the validity of his FIFA World Peace Prize.
Don't even joke about that. That is sacred, sir. That is sacred.
But I mean, the bombing, look, it's a great thing if we are able to, it's a good thing for America if neither Iran nor Kash Patel are getting bombed. And I think so I really think you have to get on a different track. This war did not have to be fought. And it is dangerous. There are greater dangers now than there were previously. And the greatest duty of a president of the United States is to be able to look into the eyes of parents, of young people you're going to send off to fight in your war, and make sure that you have made it clear to them there's a purpose, there's a clarity, you know exactly what the goals are, and you know what you're asking people to sacrifice for. That did not happen here. So that is a failed test of the presidency.
I think it was... I think it was about 2 weeks ago, the New York Times reported that Netanyahu personally went into the Situation Room and presented the case why this was the right thing to do. It was reported that he had attempted this with previous administrations. During the Obama administration, where you're Secretary of State, did he make the same case?
Yes.
And what was the response at the time?
No.
And why was that the response? I'm just curious. I assume he's a persuasive individual.
You know, I read the article that you're referring to, and the article made it clear that Prime Minister Netanyahu made his case, and they went around the room, people talked a little, but the military was quoted as saying there weren't a lot of questions asked. And at the end of the presentation by Prime Minister Netanyahu, which predicted we're going to have a rebellion, people will, regime change, people take over the country. That was all the prediction. And of course, none of it happened. But at the end of that conversation, according to the New York Times, there's a quote that Donald Trump said, "Okay by me."
And that was not what President Obama said.
No, Obama said no, Bush said no, President Biden said no. I mean, I was part of those conversations. I remember them well. And we just felt that we have not exhausted all the remedies of peaceful process. And speaking as a veteran of the Vietnam War, where decisions like that were so critical, we were lied to about what that war was about. And the lesson of that war, and of Iraq, is don't lie to the American people and then ask them to send their sons and daughters to fight. Don't do that.
You know, I believe it was this morning on Squawk Box on CNBC, Donald Trump said that he would have won Vietnam very quickly if he had been president of the United States. Yeah. And don't you find that ironic that the one guy who could have won the war couldn't go because he had bone spurs?
Yeah, well,
I mean, what are the odds? What are the odds, sir?
You showed a very telling photograph there, or a meme, I guess, of Donald Trump as Jesus.
Yes, yeah.
Now, I presume if he's Jesus, he could cure his bone spurs and go fight the war and win all by himself.
That's true.
Right?
Hadn't thought of that. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being here. John Kerry, everybody. We'll be right back. Hold on, sir. We'll be right back with Neil deGrasse Tyson.